Hi guys, thanks for joining us for another art lesson. I think it's art lesson number 6. We're going to continue with what we started last week. We're going to do Mount Si. Again, we're just working on techniques, and we're going to do it in color crayon, and we're also going to do it in colored pencil. And I have a big thing of colored pencil. I will try also to have more supplies down at the end of the road by Saturday or at my first gate. So first things first, I am going to sharpen my pencil. I cut my paper in half this time. I'm making it a little bit smaller so I can get through the lesson a little bit quicker and give you more information. But also think about, if you're beginning to run out of paper, you might want to make smaller pieces. And sometimes it's really fun to work a little bit smaller because you've got a little more control over that space. And we're going to do the same thing we did when we started out before. We're going to put a border or a frame around your picture. And again, that's just so that if you do decide to frame it, it's going to not have any of the good parts hidden. And also, it just helps your mind kind of get ready to use that space. So there we go, like that. You could use any color of colored pencil that you wanted. I'm just using black because I think it's going to show up maybe a little bit better for the camera. We're still learning these things. So we're going to do Mount Si like we did before. I hope you got a chance to see the other video. And the way I started out is I just kind of give myself a little sort of line where I'm going to have my mountains grow out of it. I'm going to do Mount Si again. I really love that mountain. So that's my start, and we'll go from there. I already have white paper going here, so I'm not going to need really any white. If I wanted to put some snow, a little bit of snow tip up there, like this, along that way. So that's kind of my basic one. And I'm going to put trees in again, only this time I think I'm going to put them maybe growing out of my meadow. Last time when we were using oil pastels, it has a different effect and a different way to be on the paper as opposed to colored pencils. And so as you recall last time, we put the trees in towards the end. And this time, because I'm using a different medium, or that's a fancy term for I'm using something else, I'm using colored pencils, I'm just going to put them in ahead of time, because oil pastels, it's easier, they can kind of go over each other, but colored pencil is a little more difficult. So that's my basic. And for fun, maybe I'll put a little moon in the corner, just to kind of make it look interesting. And I think, maybe I'm going to do a pink sky. And you can kind of come up with any sort of technique you want for your colored pencil. I'm going to show you a couple different ones. This is one where I'm doing just sort of a fill-in line, and I'm kind of going the same direction, like this, which is going to kind of give me a fun kind of pattern in the background. Or I could go a little bit lighter and a little bit more precise, like this. Or you could come in and you could do it this way. However it works for you, whatever you're comfortable doing. So that gives me a basic color there. I might move my paper. Remember, we talked about, I sort of like my skies darker at the top, and then I'm going to kind of lighten it up. And I'm just sort of cleaning up my lines here. Remember, the sky comes all the way down to the ground. Lots of times, you'll see somebody draw the sky just to here, and if you look out at the hills or anywhere else, it always comes down to the point where there's something to stop the sky. I might warm up this pink a little bit by coming in over it with orange. So there's my sky. And, oh my gosh, what color am I going to make that mountain? I think I'll do blue. And I'm just filling it in the same way. Maybe I might use some longer strokes here, just for a variety, to make it a little bit different. You could put tiny trees on your mountain. You are only limited by your imagination. You can find pictures of mountains in magazines or in books. And I'm going to do that same trick, only this time I'm going to go this way with my paper. And I'm going to keep on filling in like this. Woo, this is fun. I might darken the tops of my mountains like the sky's been darkened for kind of an effect underneath that snow. Oh, Notice this way, I'm kind of going more of a circular way to fill it in. The darker your colors, the more distinct the borders are going to be between, or the color's going to be between each other. But you might prefer to go to a lighter one. You could maybe shade a little bit like this. Now we're going to work on the grass, and maybe we'll do a little bit more traditional here. I'm going to do green. And you could use the scribbles like we did before. You could do lines like this, more upright. You could do grass like this too. You could have bunches of grass. You could color the whole background and do bunches. I might need to press a little bit harder to make that distinction. And remember, the grass closer to you is going to have longer grass leaves, or blades, I think that's what you call it. I'm going to come back in and bring some other colors in. Now, I don't necessarily have to have it be all even, although you might like to do that. Notice this way, I'm taking my pencil and I'm pushing it and pressing down hard and then kind of lifting up. And just for fun, because I kind of like to sometimes just put little surprises in, I'm going to put some pink blades in there. You could do little tiny flowers if you wanted. I might put some wind in. I've got a black pencil here. And I might put some wind blowing through my valley. I can have a bird up there, maybe just a lone bird flying next to the moon. I'm going to finish my trees. I'm going to come back in, darken those, maybe make them a little bit, not quite as fine, a little bit heavier. That just means that my line is thicker. I'm going to do the trees kind of like I did last time. I'm going to do them different in the crayon one, but I'm just going to do those kind of fun little scribbles we did. And so there's a kind of a windy day in the meadow, and some of the grass is blowing around and some of the grass isn't. And the next one we're going to do is going to be color crayon. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out my picture again. Only this time I'm going to have a great big meadow, and I think I'm going to do my outlines in blue. If it doesn't look dark enough to you, you can kind of go back over it again. And the effect is going to be different than the other one we did. The effects are all kind of different, but they're kind of fun. So I'm going to put my mountains in the back. Sort of a Mount Si there again. When you're using crayon, you can use any kind of crayon you want. The oil pastel, I just like to use the white because of the effect it has. And this one, I'm going to have the trees, I think, on this side. And I'm just going to kind of outline them. I'm going to do 3 like this. I'm doing the same kind of trees, but you can do any kind of tree you want. And you could have a whole line of trees across here if you wanted. You could have a road coming through here, or you could even have a stream or a river doing that too. But for this one, I'm going to have my moon over on this side. Gosh, what if I did a green sky? Just for fun. And you, of course, if you want to do a blue sky and you're feeling like a sunny day, you can do that. Pushing the crayon around and filling it in. I could push harder and get a darker color, which I might do kind of along the top. And compared to my other ones, this one does not have as much sky to color. Here's what I'm going to do. It's a little easier to work up and down like this. And I'm going to darken my sky at the top and then kind of blend it a little bit more. So we're going to go back. And this one, I don't have any white. And I don't have a white crayon. I could leave it. You know what? I'm going to pretend that this is white because it's going to give it a different effect. I'm going to have some rust-colored mountains. So I'm going to maybe have a little snow up there and maybe a little there. And I'm going to do rust-colored mountains. Remember, you don't have to color like I'm coloring. If you've got another way you want to use and fill in using your crayon, go ahead and do that. I'm going to be kind of careful here because crayon's a little different. I'm going to put some leaves on my trees. I'm going to kind of stay away from those trees for now while I'm coloring the mountains up. We'll get back to that later. And remember when we were using the colored pencils, I used 2 colors, the kind of orange on top of the pink. And I'm thinking here, I might do something similar. I'm going to get a little bit lighter orange color and go over this. It's kind of a way of mixing colors. You can put them on top of each other and layer them. So we've got the sky and the mountains. Aha, now time for that meadow. I'm feeling like a purple meadow, and I'm going to do bunches of grass. Getting smaller as they get further away. Fancy word for that is perspective, but you know what? It's just your point of view. If you want to make big grass further away, that's absolutely fine. So these are my little bunch grasses. This is going to give me kind of an interesting sort of different pattern. I'm going to have tiny grass way far away. So let's see, let's add maybe another color of, I'm going to put a little bit of that green in here just a few of those. This is kind of making an interesting meadow. And again, if you want to color it in solid, you can do that. If you want to do like polka dots, just have a meadow full of polka dots, you can do that. I'm going to experiment here. This is a really light color. Looks kind of fun. I'm kind of repeating the same little pattern. Kind of fun when you think this used to be a paper bag. Now, it's a picture. I'm going to add some orange. As you can tell, I'm not really planning this out, except I knew what I wanted to do at the beginning. And you could plan it out in the beginning and pick out all the colors you wanted and have them all lined up ready to go with a plan, which is something I should probably do more often. Or you could go, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever one I decide to choose. So we're filling that meadow up pretty well. I'm wondering, feeling like I need just another, I'm going to add a little touch of blue. Not necessarily through the whole meadow, I just might add little areas like that. And then I'm going to go back to my trees here. And instead of doing the round and round things, I'm going to try just a little different kind of way of filling them in. I'm pressing a little bit harder than I have been. And they're just little, like little sideways lines, and I'm going to fill that in. Mix those colors up a little bit. So it's a little bit more of a fall feeling. I could have left the trees bare, but I like to fill things in. Thanks again for hanging out and drawing, and have fun practicing and making your own pictures. And I look forward to our next lesson. And I'm not sure what we're going to do yet, but we're going to do something fun. You take care. Want a fire in the fireplace? You really want is all the kibbles in the kibble container. Have it in. Okay,